I'm so excited to have Emily Reagan joining us today. She is the CEO of the Unicorn Digital Marketing Assistant School, and she has built her business on helping other people get to seven figures. And now she's sharing with us how she's applied it to herself and helped her businesses grow and be so successful. And there's something at the end of our interview that I definitely don't want you to miss because as we're closing up, we actually took one more deep dive into something that seemed really important and something that I didn't want you as the listener to miss. So stay tuned. This is the Breakthrough Mastermind Show, and I'm your host, Jen Argue, and I facilitate masterminds for women entrepreneurs who want to grow their businesses to help others and create financial independence. And I'm so excited to have Emily with us today. Emily is in her third year in my Breakthrough Mastermind. I have been able to see how she has grown her business, and I've been able to see what has really stood out as the strategies and the mindset of how she's gotten to where she is today and how her business has evolved into where it's at today. She went from being a former public relations communications director to a stay-at-home mom of four and a military wife, which included a lot of moves, to having her own online business now for 10 years. And she is going to share with us some of her secrets of what has helped her help other people succeed and also help herself succeed. So won't you please join me in welcoming Emily Reagan? I am so excited to have Emily here today. Thank you so much for joining me, Emily.
Hey, thanks for having me. This has been a long time coming, and I'm so happy to be here.
I know. And guys, all of you listening in, you need to know Emily is so amazing. She just signed up for her third year in the mastermind, in the Breakthrough Mastermind 3.
Yeah.
And she is such an amazing person in the group. And I've seen your business just grow and grow and grow. And it's so exciting to like be behind the scenes and to be a part of that and just, yeah, like be a part of your amazing growth.
It is so nice to have someone like you and the rest of the women in the mastermind to go on this journey with me because it is such a long-term game. And I'm kind of tired of reintroducing myself all the time and explaining what I do. And it's so nice that you guys get it and you know where I'm trying to go. And it's so funny because when we first met, I did not have masterminds on my radar at all. And you had invited me and I was like, I didn't even know if I really like needed this right now. And I did it anyway. And I'm so glad I did because it's been so nice to have the support in the background.
Wow. 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 Thanks for that. I did not set her up to say any of that.
No, you didn't, but it is kind of funny thinking about me 3 years ago, like, way different place.
Yeah, yeah. And we had such a fun time meeting because we met on Instagram, like the DMs. I don't know. I probably was attracted to your bright colors and your bubbly personality. And then we found out we were both going to the Amy Porterfield conference. And we were like, let's meet up and hang out.
The story goes a little bit before that because we were friends. I don't even know how we became Instagram friends because I had like the tiniest just started following, but we were both at Kajabi, but I was too shy to talk to you, remember? I was too shy and I don't know what my problem was, but I remember seeing you and you're wearing your yellow and your green and yeah. And then I guess the end of that year was when EE was happening. So that's when we actually hung out. We were like, but we were what I call base buddies. Like we would go socialize and then like come back to each other when we needed like a break from all of the like surface, like, elevator talk. So it was really nice to just come back to you. And I felt like I could be the real me.
Yes. I love that. That's my new term now, break buddies. I love that at a conference. Everybody needs a break buddy at a conference.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. I love it. We had so much fun. So, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, which is so important for other entrepreneurs who are listening in to be encouraged that they can be wherever they're at and get to a point like where you're at right now, is to hear and understand what the path is for women entrepreneurs. Like, how did you get to wherever you were before to where you are right now?
Oh man. And like we were saying earlier, it is never a straight line. I actually had no vision for this thing I'm doing and completely fell into it. My story goes, I started freelancing when I had my first kid. We're in the military. My husband was active duty and we were moving again. And I said yes to a freelance client with like no idea where it was going. And I had said yes to another freelance client a couple years later with no idea, no vision, no plan, just kind of go with the flow, Emily. Like I knew I liked the work. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting on this like 6-figure business and I'm booked out. And I just kind of think like, what happened? But it was me being open-minded every step of the way. And I think sometimes maybe not having a plan helped me out. I mean, I probably would have got there faster if I had thought about things, but I think, God gave me the time I needed and the stepping stones I needed. So yeah, I started freelancing. My background is in journalism and public relations. And so I took on a couple clients and it just exploded from there. And I was always
Mm,
behind the scenes and really happy doing the work.
mhm,
And my big, aha moment was I went with a client to Tribe Live. It was 2018. Stu
mhm.
McLaren had my client as one of his success stories. So she was going to talk on the stage. And so I went to support her because her husband, who's like very much an introvert, didn't want to go. And so I had taken a bonus I got from another client's launch and bought the hotel in Toronto, bought the plane ticket, like reinvested in myself and went with her. And it was Wendy Batten. And there, while I was at Tribe, I just got swarmed by all these business owners who needed somebody like me to help them. And I remember
Mm.
going to Tribe, listening to this like concept of membership sites and reoccurring revenue and just thinking like, this would be cool, but probably not me. Like, I don't have anything to say or teach. And by the end of those 3 days, and I brought no business cards with me, I had my business idea. And it really came from a heart that wanted to serve and help these small business owners because I was booked out. But then I started thinking, well, I have some smart friends. Like they could do this work. They could help these people out. And that's just how my business started. And now I have a course. Now I have a membership site, which is really fun. And I also do a little bit of client work. So I'm kind of like straddling all worlds. But yeah, it all started from me kind of being very ignorant about it.
That is sometimes the best way to start. It's like that whole story of how some of the biggest companies start in a garage.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same for you. You just stumbled into it from your desire to serve people, and you had an ability that you were able to offer to help people, and you monetized it, and then you grew it, you booked out, and now you're helping others to do the same.
Yeah. And that's essentially what we're all trying to do online is take something where we were good at in person or an idea and figure out how to make it fit our lifestyle and our vision and
Mhm,
our business model that we think will be the good fit. And,
mhm,
it hasn't been this straight like instant success for me, but I've also been doing the client work for a while. So I kind of knew to just keep my head down and plugging away. And that's what I've been
mhm,
doing for 3 years. And I really feel like things are starting to come together, like going into year 4 of my business is pretty
mhm.
amazing.
Well, you're pretty modest saying that things are starting to come together. You've had it together for a long time. I feel like you're reimagining and keeping up with the times and the trends, and always you're very nimble. Like you have this very stable niche that you're involved in, and you have all of this expertise, which I want to highlight that like 1,000 times in this conversation. Emily, I'll just take a break from where I was going, but like Emily has this amazing ability to figure things out. So she started off, like you said, with your PR, your marketing. You were in the corporate world, right? You were working for a TV station. Is that right?
Oh, that was one of my many jobs,
Okay.
but I actually at the time was communications director. So yeah, coming from the
Okay.
corporate world. Yeah.
Okay. So then you start doing that for other people. But the thing about you is that you have this endless curiosity paired with persistence to figure things out. So it's like when your client needs something, you don't just like wait on it. You don't, let like the fear of it push you into procrastination. Like you tackle it, you go for it. And because of that, you are now an expert in all the things behind the scenes, literally. Like, you guys, Emily has been an assistant, or what do you call it?
I'm coining the phrase unicorn digital marketing assistant because it was never just a VA, but it was definitely doing some of the coordination, a little bit of the management behind the scenes. So that was kind of the starting place and
she,
moving up the ladder for sure.
yes. She has helped people get from 5 figures to 6 figures, 6 figures to 7 figures. She is the one of the biggest reasons they have made those huge strides in their business, because you're the engine, you're behind the scenes and you're making all the things happen, and now you're teaching other people to do the same. I love how your journey has come along, and how you've adapted and how you keep molding your business to keep up with what you're learning, to keep up with the times, with knowing your audience more and more so that you can meet their needs even better. It's truly amazing. And when we think about growing our business, there's always these two elements that not everyone always takes into consideration, but there's the soft skills and the hard skills. So, what would you say is the soft skill for you that has served you the best in growing your business?
I think you already touched on it. I say this to the women I teach and my fellow peers who are hiring, but it's all about the growth mindset. Being willing to learn and not take things personally when they don't work out, but just put
Mm.
yourself out there. I mean, even last night, Jen, I was on the active campaign chat help desk trying to figure some stuff out because, things change real quick and you just can't be afraid to just jump in and do it. And I see this, I never saw that as something like that important or that much of a difference maker, but when you see other people in the same place when they're not really growing, I think a lot of that is that fear. And it doesn't mean I'm not scared, but I also know the things I need to do to get there. And I do have this like deep love of learning. Like I'm a nerd at heart. I love books. I love, taking all the classes, but I think that growth mindset has served me the most because I just get tons of experience in different tech platforms or working in different models and just kind of seeing what works with different launches. And, I love this position I'm in because I get to see behind so many other businesses too. So I think the big secret there is not everybody's together. Not everybody is super organized and everyone is just as scared and questioning. And so I think that's really powerful to know that and a little bit liberating to just go ahead and embrace that messy start of learning, right? I mean, and I've had so many jobs, Jen. We have moved 12 times in 19 years.
Oh
I
my
have had
gosh.
so many jobs. And when you think of job experience curve, you're like, oh, curve. I said curve. Job experience curve. You're always starting new. And in the military, we're moving every year or two, but that job experience curve is supposed to be like 9 months. So I'm always like starting stuff and like leaving. So I think some of that like military spouse, military child as well, mindset has kind of gotten in there where like, I'm not afraid to just dig in and I might have more issues following through, but that could be like another, could be another topic for another day.
Not for your clients though. I feel like for your clients, you are hot, you are on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the shoemakers, who doesn't have shoes.
Yeah.
So sometimes, yeah, for ourselves, it's harder. But that's what we're talking about, is we're talking about ourselves and our own mindset. And that growth mindset is such an important piece. And nobody's mentioned that yet in this
Oh, good.
podcast series. Yes. And how much the growth mindset really does keep you open to growth, like
Yeah.
inside and outside.
I see it all the time because in my business, I also help fellow business peers find and hire their next unicorn, right? And I see this all the time. They get stuck on some specific, I call it skill set tunnel vision. They get
Mhm.
stuck on that, thinking like, oh, this person has to be a pro at this or that, or, they need to have all this experience. And bottom line, those people are booked out and super expensive, right?
Mhm.
At this level we're at, where we're not like a team of 15 specialized people. And I always tell these people and my peers, like, hire for the growth mindset, number one, because you need that fluid person on your team. And ultimately, you need help just getting it done, whatever it is, whatever pops up that day. I've been on the phone with GoDaddy, and I've broken websites and I've fixed things, and I didn't know what I was doing half the time. But every time something went down, I followed through and I took care of it. Right. And I
Mhm.
think that so many business owners get stuck, like not hiring the right teammate because they think they have to be this already at this certain level. And like the right attitude and the right work ethic and that growth mindset
Mhm.
is going to be more of a difference maker, because you just feed that person a little bit more and they're just going to take off.
Mm.
So I remember my teammate, one of my clients, feeding me little nuggets of things that I didn't know about, or like, I remember her name dropping people, and I would just go on rabbit holes, like, who's this? What do I need to know? And like that go-getter will just take it upon themselves and have that initiative to keep learning and then bring it back to your business. So it's going to pay off.
Yes. Yes. Do you feel like you ever, I want to just ask a little bit more about this
Yep,
because
go for it.
it's so good. And what you're saying is so spot on that I also see a lot of people struggle with not having the growth mindset and being stuck for a very long time. What have you seen as far as your own development? Like, did you ever struggle with not having a growth mindset?
Oh, that's a really good question. For sure. I mean, you've seen me over the last 3 years. I've had a lot of struggles, but I can have this old lady attitude. I remember when Instagram came out, and I mean, I was in the prime, I'm working with lots of clients, and I don't want to say came out, but it was getting more imperative that you do it for business, right? And I can remember saying this out loud, I don't want to learn another thing.
Yes.
And I remember that. And I mean,
Yeah.
I have that push. I mean, I'm human. I have that pushback. Like I feel like maxed out. Like there's so many things to know. And I remember like laying on the bed and just trying to film a couple stories and just figuring it out on my personal account. And I still have this story my daughter did. Like she's like pretend rapping, and I'm like, I just won't figure it out unless I make myself do it. And I actually
Mm.
had a student complaining inside my course. I don't know if this is like a good thing to say, but she was saying, well, you didn't show me how to log into Instagram. And I just remember thinking, you're never going to make it because you have to whip out your phone and figure it out. Like I can teach you the strategy, but you're gonna have to open it up and do a story. And if you hate it, delete it. Like my first Facebook Live that I did was
Yeah.
that night in Toronto, that same summer I was talking about.
Yeah.
I had a glass of wine. I a little bit of liquid courage. I don't usually self-medicate like that, but I needed to. I put on a face mask. I was so scared about being in front of the camera. That's probably like the biggest change for me.
Mhm.
And I did my very first Facebook Live, and I said, like, I've got an idea. I'm gonna do it. And I knew that if I just like put it out there, I would follow through. Like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna like go back on my word. I did end up deleting the Facebook Live,
Mhm.
which I wish I would have kept now, because now I am like, much better about being in front of the camera. I've gotten over myself, whatever. But yeah, those are those like little moments where you have to decide,
Mhm.
how bad do I want this? And I knew I want to provide for my 4 kids. I need to have a plan B. I don't want to just be living off crumbs anymore. Like I've got an idea and I'm willing to do it. So play with those reels, play with those stories, because it sucks. Like I
Mhm.
still messed up. My reel I posted today somehow reverted my font and now you can't read it, but it was looking right. And it messed
Mhm.
up. And I'm just kind of like, you know what? I learned a lesson.
Right.
Next time it will be legible.
I think that's exactly right. You need to know your why. You knew your why. And it's kind of this figure it out as you go mentality.
Yeah.
And you'll know what you need to ask once you start doing it.
Yes.
So yes, I mean, like logging onto Instagram, there's this part where you can do that. You can Google, you know, and then the other things will come. And yeah, and you'll ask better questions. And keep advancing, keep moving. Yeah, that's so good. I love how you're saying too, the growth mindset helps you to not be defensive too. So that's such a great thing. I think when we get defensive, then we're placing the blame outside of ourselves instead of, owning what we can actually do to
Yeah.
keep learning and to get past whatever hurdle we're facing.
Yeah, and that's what fixed mindset is. Somebody who doesn't want to try because they're happy with the status quo, right? So if you're
Yeah.
not happy with the status quo, you've got one thing to do.
Yes, yes. That was really good. Let's move to the hard skills. I feel so funny asking you this because I feel like every hard skill under the sun. But what hard skills have helped you grow your business?
That's really funny because the answers I kind of thought I was going to give earlier. I mean, obviously, I have the technical skills. Like, I am not a coder. I have always had this little thing in me that like loved playing with websites, but I know little code tricks. Like, I feel like such a hack sometimes, but I remember being in college in 2000 and doing my own Angel Fire website, like from code. It was horrible, but like the tools have gotten so much easier where a lot of us, we can scrape
Yeah.
by. So sometimes I feel like a hack in that department. So
Mm.
obviously I have a lot of technical skills that have developed over time. And again, that comes from playing. Like, I'll coach people on how to do a reel, and I only know because I'm a few steps ahead and I started playing a few months earlier, right? So when I think about like hard skills that really make me different, I'm like questioning, is this really a soft skill? But I really think this ability to network and grow, not just like people not just potential clients or like prospects, but network laterally with my peer group. I feel like that has been a big difference maker for me because this whole course business is hard. It is hard to be nobody and start from nothing. But the more of my peers who know me and start talking about me and referring me, I think has been the difference maker. And I don't have any like system for networking. It just has come so natural to me, probably as a military child, always being an outsider and always just kind of like rallying my own groups of friends. And I was like never the cool kid. I always like formed my own club of misfits, but I don't need to be the ringleader either. But, I think it was really hard for me starting and seeing like these clubs of 7-figure entrepreneurs. And like, I kind of was like, I'll never bust into that group, but I can form my own. So, I mean, that's why this mastermind is so powerful because you can link arms with people who are growing with you and create your own. So, and I don't even have any kind of like framework for networking. It has just come so natural. Like you might have to pick it out of me, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's pick a little bit. It seems like you do have the attitude, you have the mindset of wanting to form your own group, wanting to have those people around you. What are some tactical steps that you've taken to do that?
I think my podcast has been a catalyst for my networking. And at first I did these Facebook Lives in my Facebook group and I called them my anti-podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I'm never going to have a podcast. First of all, whenever I say never, I always eat my own words. So like, I'm going to own that right here.
That's manifesting, right? Whether you want it or you don't, it comes in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. And the podcast came in my life and I witnessed it because I was pitching for some clients and I saw the power of that, having another podcast where you can invite people on. They make the time to meet with you. I'm not great about scheduling coffee chats. It's always one of those things where I'm like, yeah, we should do that. And it doesn't happen. And so the podcast, I think, has been really good for getting to know other entrepreneurs and not in a way where like they're using me. I mean, there's been a couple of situations like that where I can tell it was like a one-night stand, but for the most part, it's growing my network and we're still serving my audience at the same time. So I think that's been part of it. And that didn't start with a podcast. That was the anti-podcast. That was just Facebook Lives, like doing the weekly Facebook Live that we learned to do a few years ago that I question if it's still relevant right now, like with the algorithm changes. But, and I think just I don't know. I think it's just caring. I'm seeing a lot of people in this space who don't take the time to say thank you, or ask how people are doing. I think it's like basic relationship skills,
Mm,
I mean,
mhm,
I don't want to
mhm,
sound too negative, but there are some users in this space. And
mhm,
I think that's why I do appreciate having my group of women who I know I'm safe with, because you do have to have your guards up. But I mean, I notice when people comment, share, tag, refer, I mean, all of that is very, it's like probably putting some, like, I don't know what the analogy is, but coins in the jar, and it just starts building up, and you just start noticing like who's real, you know?
mhm,
So I
mhm,
think just being smart about who you invest in too.
mhm,
And I think I
mhm,
have that, what is the word? Intuition. I have that intuition when it comes to people. I think I'm pretty good at reading people.
mhm. It's probably a skill that you had to be good at with moving so much.
Oh yeah.
You have to make
Yeah.
quick decisions.
Yeah. Are you my enemy? Are you my friend? Just kidding.
Are we going to go down a bad road together? Good one.
Yeah. Are you the bully or am I? No, just kidding. I'm definitely not the bully.
No, I never. Yeah, I think that's a really good tactic to take is to just be aware of the coins that are being put in the jar. Are people just showing up in a supportive way to you, or does it feel more transactional? Which sometimes there's a place for transactional as long as you know it going in and you know that, okay, this is going to help me, this is going to help you, and it's all business. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you can tell it's fine. But having that group around you that you can really trust, that's a different type of relationship.
Yes.
That is, yeah, definitely more relational. And you never want to feel like you're getting scammed or getting, I don't know, manipulated or something in some way. Yeah, that's really good. So I hear you saying part of the networking is just reaching out to people, interacting with each other. I'm imagining on social platforms. Also, you make an effort to go to conferences too.
I have. I've been to a few. I feel like it's been a while.
Yes.
And that first one I went to felt a little bit like my hall pass. My husband was getting ready to deploy. I'm like, I'm going to a work conference, and I hadn't been in forever. It was amazing. And that's where I
Mm,
met you. And I feel like there's just more power in that personal,
mhm,
in real life meeting. I mean, there's a lot of
mhm,
people at the conference who, are gone, or we might have
mhm,
added each other to Instagram and they're gone. But the
mhm.
true relationships are there to last. And I've learned that over the years being military. But yeah, that is, I cannot wait for this to start up again, because I
Oh,
really
yes.
like, I need to be selective now about where I go, but I
Yeah.
don't know. It's so powerful being in a conference and just being around like-minded people. I mean, that's where everything changed for me. And for me, I don't talk about myself a lot in general. Like, I usually am very aware of who I'm talking to. I always say, like, I won't even argue, like, I won't argue a brick wall, and my sister will, like, I'll just kind of nod and smile with a lot of people. Like, I know when I can speak up and when to keep quiet. And sometimes I err on the side of keeping quiet. But at that tribe conference, that aha moment came from me during a break talking to a fellow business owner who planted the seed with me. And it took me talking about me, which is just awkward. It's awkward. I mean, I was used to being behind the scenes, and I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, Jen, but just taking that moment to like let myself be the center of attention was definitely vulnerable. But it never would have happened if I hadn't gone to a conference, if I hadn't made the effort to lunch and talk to people. And I mean, I have plenty of wallflower moments where I'm like, okay, I'm going to run to the bathroom and then, avoid people. Like, I have those moments. I have lots of those moments, but that powerful change, that spark of change came at a conference for me. And it's been like that. I mean, that's how I met you. That's
Mm.
how I've connected with some other like fabulous entrepreneurs, and you're just, I don't know, becomes memorable that way too.
I think you're bringing up a really good point about networking. And I want to just highlight this because my audience is mostly women. And there are a lot of women out there who are really good at putting themselves forward and talking about themselves, and they know how to talk about themselves. But there are, I think, proportionately more women who aren't as good as that compared to men. And what you're bringing up is a really important thing for women to keep in mind as they go to conferences or as they go to meetups, as we start doing this more. Hopefully it'll come around more. It's really important. Like typically women are good listeners, and women, caring women, they'll talk and meet somebody for the first time, and then they'll listen, they'll ask questions and they'll listen. But we need to be good at the other half. And that's also talking about ourselves a little bit and getting that out there for others to give back to us. I think women are such good givers. They're not always good receivers. And so being willing to put yourself out there to have that type of interaction is equally important as giving, and giving by listening. Does that make sense?
I think, yeah, it does. And I kind of flashed to even that last conference you and I went to, where I was talking about myself over and over, and I just got so much better at my elevator pitch. I still don't have it down. It's still hard to explain what I do sometimes, but that practical, what is the word I'm trying to say? Just doing that in person helped me out so much. It gave me so much clarity, because someone would get it. Someone would be like, "You're what? Unicorn what? I don't get it." And so it kind of like pulled it out of me. And that's not something I would ever practice on my own. I mean, I guess now we're getting some more Zoom experience than we were a couple of years ago. But that, I think, is something that you have to learn, because you're talking about yourself and how are you going to do it effectively and quickly. And I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but that will force you out of your shell, because you have the opportunity to stay there and do nothing and just listen, like we're talking about.
Also, another one of your strengths that I see, I'm just going to start unloading all these strengths on you, is your consistency. You're very consistent. You show up, and I think you've had these amazing things, like whether it's clients or work or, opportunities fall, I'm doing air quotes, fall into your lap, is because you've been ready. You've shown up consistently and you've done the work so that it looks like these things are happening out of nowhere. But in reality, you've put in the work and made yourself ready to receive those opportunities.
I'm glad you brought up consistency, because that is the number one. I probably keep saying this, but that has been such a big part of my clients in the past who have failed and who have succeeded. So I witnessed this very early. And I also saw how hard it was to keep showing up in this online space, which is why, my people can help and I can help. But the clients who were inconsistent just didn't last. I mean, we know the name of the game on, I'm not saying you have to post every day on social media, but people want to know you're a lasting brand. So I had that drilled in my head early from witnessing that. And it's so funny you say that, because I recently did the Strengths Finder test. I had a friend do that test with me. And my top strengths were all relationship building, which I thought it might be something else. But I know we're having this conversation now, and it seems like pretty Captain Obvious, but my very last strengths, my last two, are discipline and consistency. And again, bringing it back to what we were talking about earlier, but I know the importance. I am willing to prioritize it. Now, am I consistent with a lot of things in my life? No, I have room for improvement for sure. But when it's really important to me, I will show up and I will do the things I need to do. And I'm not saying it like a no boundaries, all burnout type of way, but I know how critical that weekly email is over time. And I know how important it is to show up and be nurturing the audience. So yeah, consistency is a big one and a big problem, because I think so many business owners are trying to do it on their own as well, which is also where I come in, because you can't. Anyone who's successful online has at least one person helping them, cannot do it all on their own. So I love that I can, slip my unicorns into their businesses for help, because we all need some kind of relief. I mean, consistency is important, but it's there's too much going on that we're supposed to be doing.
Okay, so I have one question that I always ask people at the end. And part of being an entrepreneur is that you probably love what you do, and you probably could do it 24/7, because work feels like play to you. And there's, a lot of times when you put in the effort, you get the result, the dopamine hit back. But it's so important for us to step away from work to live the life of our dreams, which is the reason why we're doing this, right? To have our freedom and our choice and to take care of our souls so that when we come back to work, we are fed, we are like emotionally and spiritually and all the ways fed, and we have more energy then to come at our work with. So what is it for you that you do when you unplug from work?
Oh, you know me too well here. I am such a workaholic, and I totally felt what you said when you were talking about like that hit. Cause like last night I got home from a road trip and I had to finish something for a client, and I like fixed this little tech thing and I was feeling like amazing. And then I couldn't go to bed. I'm like, oh, I was like that. I was like a junkie in that moment. It was so weird.
Right?
I know I like am admitting this on a podcast,
Yes.
but okay. So I definitely need to make room for more fun in my life. And you and I have talked about that. And I think really for me, I like being like physical and I like sports, but I've had this injury lately, which kind of held me back. But I have visions of me getting back into pickleball when this weather is good and I'm allowed to pivot on my ACL again. So I really want to go back into sports. And, there's nothing like an injury to make you want to be active again. So I would love to find an adult women's soccer team or league and just like play some rec soccer. Like I would love that. But in the meantime, what do I do to unplug? I'm such a dork. Like I love listening to music and doing jigsaw puzzles.
I saw that story.
I do. And we have this new house and we set up our dining room as right now it's like, it might be my husband's office. We'll figure out what's going to happen with his work situation. But I have a puzzle there and I will just kind of like rock out and chill. And I like puzzles. And I just got this murder mystery puzzle where you like put it together and then you have to figure out who done it. So like, I'm just such a dork, but this is also Emily who's like been recovering and injured. Like I'm not like anything that exciting. Now, if I have girlfriends around, I definitely like brunch. I like going out. I like exploring my areas and, trying different restaurants. Like I think the military lifestyle is very conducive to that. Like I love exploring where I am. I was just talking to my kids. I'm like, as soon as the weather's good, we're going to go march around Yorktown. We're going to go to the battlefield and we're going to like march around there. And I don't know, we're going to go to Williamsburg. So I like doing all that type of stuff with kids. And when I was a stay-at-home mom full time and wasn't really doing this business, I was all about doing the fun, like educational random stuff, like I like that variety. Like there's a couple art museums here I haven't been to yet. So I'll be doing all of that. Like I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah. No, I hear you. What I hear is variety is the spice of life for you.
Yes. In my work and my play and my TV shows.
Yes. And that is being true to yourself and really honoring yourself. So I think that you really know yourself. You're able to know how to go about everything to make it a happy life. You keep your variety in your work. You keep your variety in your personal life, in your TV shows. I heard you say
my restaurants,
your restaurants, everything. I love it. That's so great. Thank you so much for joining us today. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to learn more about what you have to offer, because you have offers for both the entrepreneur's CEO, and you also have offers for people who want to start their own businesses as marketing specialists, right? Yes. So you have all kinds of offers out there. How can people find out about those offers?
That is a good point. I am kind of the split personality there. I have the most fun on Instagram. So if you come over there, we can connect and I can point you in the right direction. But I do a mix of marketing work and quiz funnels for other business owners. And then I also teach smart women who have that growth mindset how to start working online and being more than an admin VA doing this digital marketing work, which I think is like more spicy, right? It's like more variety and more fun. And so I teach women how to do that too. But find me on Instagram. We can connect there. I've got a podcast. I've got a free Facebook group. I have all the things, you know me. But Instagram, I have learned to accept it and play with it and have fun with it. And it's not the Instagram when I first added in like 2018 when I wanted to go grandma on it and pretend like I don't know how to text.
I don't even think that's possible. You're such a networker. You're such a social person. I just want to emphasize for anybody who is in the marketing specialist world that the way that you run your business reflects who you are. Like you have a lot to offer, you know, all the things. And so you can go really deep into the things that you offer and you're a specialist. Also for the group, the membership that you have, there's so much support in there. There's so much, it's like, it's a really active, supportive place for people who are looking for that as marketing specialists.
I've created my own little group of people over there. We're a blessing of unicorns, which is what you call a herd of unicorns. And I've created my own little group over there. And it's so fun because it was the group I wish I had had, right? And we can help each other out, troubleshoot, support, encourage. And we also keep learning digital marketing. So we all are embracing, the growth mindset over there too. So yeah, I have my own little corner of the internet. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. And, I feel inspired to say this. I don't know if somebody needs to hear this. This is why it's coming to my mind. But there's been a lot that's happened in the past couple of years with the pandemic. And so people's businesses have waxed and waned a little bit. And I've seen people who have, walked away from their career, whether it was having kids or whether it was, a choice to follow this online business, and have had moments where they've financially dipped and they've realized they've needed to diversify a little bit. And I've seen people go into being like picking up some of these marketing specialist skills and use that as a way to float other things in their business. And I keep thinking, like, you provide that, like you have that, you teach that. And it's such a great skill. Like you don't have to just be one thing. You can be two things or three things and add this into your repertoire because it is such a great way. I'm saying this because I think what you offer is just such a great way for people to create income fast in their lives in a very practical way, because there's always the need for practical skills out there.
I'm glad you said that because I have had a handful of women trying to do this bigger thing with a course or create the passive income and realize it doesn't come as fast. And they've picked up work from my group, learning, like doing the things they were doing for their own business. And I'm just thinking of Angela the other day was telling me how she's loving it. She's like, that's okay if my course isn't exploding right now. She's like, I love what I'm doing with these clients and helping these small business owners. And she's like rolling in the dough, Jen, because she's like scooping up all the work because she's such a hot commodity because she has these marketing skills. So it's not always I don't know. Sometimes we get the person who is a VA and they know what that is and they're ready to up level. And sometimes people are just this accidental, like already doing the work. I might as well get paid for it. Exactly. Or I might as well like fund the thing that I really love. And I just can't say this enough in this online space, but I mean, it is so hard to grow an online business. Like we make it look easy. So if you can be bringing in revenue, my own client work funds a lot of my course business right now, just to be transparent. And if I didn't have that client work, I probably would have like gone under a while ago. I feel in a very privileged place, right? Like with my family and what's going on with my husband's work. But that freelance work has provided me so much freedom to achieve my bigger vision in my business. And it's okay. Like if anyone's listening to this and they're like, oh man, I'm just not quite there. I mean, that's been the hardest thing is like balancing my course and my client work. And that and talking to me in 3 years, but like, thank God I have it. Like during this COVID and Zoom time, like I feel so lucky I had it for myself. And I know it's doing the same thing for other women. So no, there's no shame.
Yeah.
No shame in that.
No shame in that at all. In fact, I always think that if I'm going to hire somebody or I'm going to learn from somebody, if I'm going to learn from somebody, I'm going to learn from somebody who's doing it. And it's the way I did my master's in clinical psychology. I went to a school where all the professors had practices. And so they could bring in all of their real life, confidentially, of course, all their real life examples into the classroom. And it's so much richer of an education that way. It's exactly what you're doing with
Yeah.
all the marketing specialties. So
Yeah.
people would be so blessed to be part of your blessing, your
Love
unicorn
it. Love it.
blessing. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Emily. And we will definitely have everything that you need for connecting with Emily in the show notes, along with any freebies that she's got out there and all the things. So definitely connect with her and get to know her. She's awesome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jen.
I'm so grateful we had Emily on the show today. All the links will be in the show notes. I just want to mention that she does have a launch coming up for her Unicorn Digital Marketing Assistant School. And if you are interested in learning more of those skills, definitely sign up for this. Or even if you are a CEO and you have team members who you would like to be more confident in what they're doing, that would be a great program for them to take for you to bless them with. So, either way, I encourage you to check her out on Instagram and Facebook and get to know Emily. She's a lot of fun and very knowledgeable. And if you're looking for more support, challenge, and inspiration in running your online business, I would love to have you apply to my mastermind. So check it out at jenargue.com.